Hey guys, it's Steph here with the FlowerFanatic. I hope you are enjoying your January. I am in my greenhouse for the very first time. The sun is out and it's warm in here. It's about 35 degrees outside and right now it is 75 degrees in here. So it's the ideal temperature for starting seeds. A lot of the ones that I have just started. So in this video, I'm just gonna cover all the seeds that I bought this year, and maybe you guys have bought some of them that you wanna start in January. Most of them are the cool weather, cold hardy annuals, which means they like temperatures below 80 and they can handle light frosts in the early spring around down to about 25 degrees. Okay, so the seeds that I've already planted are stock, ranunculus, sweet peas, which this will be my very first time growing sweet peas. I'm really excited about it because I hear they smell really good, but they also don't really love my climate. It's a little bit more challenging, but I'm gonna try them anyway. They're kind of a climber. And then I also have some Lysianthus, which Lysianthus is not a cool weather, cold hardy type annual, but it just takes forever to transplant. You're gonna have to start it about 10 weeks before my last frost date, which is May 15th for me. And then October 15th in the fall is usually a frost date. So I'm in a zone 6B climate. Last year I tried to grow stock and ranunculus. I started way too late. The reason why I've got to start them so early in my climate is we don't really have a spring. It's kind of non-existent. When it starts to warm up a little bit, it kind of gets hot really quickly above 80 degrees. And most of these cold hardy annuals, the ones that like the cooler weather, don't want it to get above 80 degrees. Once it starts happening on a regular basis, then their blooms start to fizzle off. Okay, I had to come outside. I was struggling because whenever my husband is in the greenhouse with me, I get in my head a little bit. I think he's thinking I'm like a weirdo. Anyways, the reason why I'm growing stock is because it's one of those that are gonna come out really early. I'll get blooms at mid-March when I'm waiting for everything else. They can handle that cold frost and they smell really, really good. So what I didn't do last year was do a low tunnel. So that is my plan this year. I'm gonna put a low tunnel in the next week. I'll have a video on that, so that I can keep that soil nice and warm, get it ready to put the stock in around mid-March. So stock, they have two different varieties. I just want to cover this real quick. The iron variety is really good for me because they're a little bit more heat tolerant. So that's the ones I'm going with. You can either get double blooms on your stems or single blooms. And when they start to germinate and you see those cotyledon, I thought I would totally screw that word up, but I got it right. I said it right the first time. It's kind of one of those words that's hard to pronounce. They can either be fused, those two leaves together, and that will kind of indicate that they will only have single blooms. But if those leaves are really nice and separate from each other, not fused, those typically have double blooms. So you can actually pick out which stalks you want in order to get more blooms, more full blooms, and those ones are definitely more marketable. All you have to do is plant this seed about 1/4 inch deep into that soil. Typically, the bigger the seed, you go a little bit deeper. When they're really tiny, usually don't cover them at all. You just keep them on the surface. And then I covered it with some vermiculite, fine vermiculite, just to make sure that light can get through. And in about 5 to 7 to 10 days, you're gonna have some germination. Then I'm gonna want them to grow on a cooler temperature, about 55 to 65 degrees. Okay, let's talk about ranunculus, which is by far my favorite cool weather, early blooming flower in my climate. Who doesn't love ranunculus? They have so many petals, they're unique, they're good for cutting, and they're actually the easiest one to grow that I've discovered so far. So they come in corms. They're just those funny looking octopus spider looking things, so dry. What's fascinating about this is the first thing I did was just put them in a bowl, soaked them for about 4 hours, and then they go from these dry things to really plump corms. It's really cool. And then I put them in a flat tray, put them in my greenhouse for about 7 days at 70 degrees. I've just barely moved them to my garage, so they're about 40 to 50 degrees in there for another week, and they should start to sprout. They haven't sprouted yet because it's only been a week. It takes about 2 weeks. And then when that happens, I can go ahead and put them in my garden box under a low tunnel. Okay, sweet pea is next. I think I'm more excited for this one just because it's so new to me. I've actually never seen any of them in real life. Nobody grows them around here in my zone 6 climate, and that might be for a reason. Maybe I'll learn why this next year, but I definitely want to try these because of the smell. I just want some beautiful smell in my house around March that these flowers produce. They say they're really nice and floral and just have a really pleasant, strong scent. So that's the main reason I'm growing them. And it's just fun to have some early blooming climbers, which I've never tried before. So with the sweet pea, These seeds are definitely bigger. I love the bigger ones, so much easier to grow. So I just put them in my medium. It was nice and moist, and then about 1/2 inch deep. Sweet peas are a little bit different than these other seeds because they want lower temperatures for germination, around 55 to 65 degrees. So my plan is just to take them off the heat mat. My greenhouse has been around 60 degrees. It looks like it's gonna be like that for the next 2 weeks. It will be perfect if all goes well. And they do like to have high soil fertility. So I'm gonna actually start prepping my soil where I'm gonna plant them. I might add a little sand, definitely some compost, just to make it a little bit more well draining. This is where my sweet peas are gonna go. We've been cleaning out our greenhouse finally. It's amazing how fast it can get dirty, just like my house. But they don't like to be wet. So this is the first time I've planted anything here. So that's why I thought about adding some sand with some of that compost so it just drains a little bit better. But the soil is not too bad here. I'm gonna do some beautiful wood trellises just because it's a little bit prettier. Isn't this gonna be fun when I'm starting to plant my heat tolerant annuals and I have some sweet peas climbing up here. Hopefully I can smell the essence as the store is open. Usually it has to be open by then. I'm really excited. So the sweet peas are actually the most cold hardy of all of these seeds that I'm growing. They will handle temperatures all the way down to the low 20s. So these flowers are kind of similar to those vegetables you would put, your cold hardy vegetables that you put in the ground early, like your broccoli, your spinach. I can't think of the other ones right now. I'm trying to get my husband to get on board and do some low row covers and low tunnels along with what I'm doing over here so that we can enjoy blooms and produce so early on. It would be kind of awesome. So I hesitated to do Lysianthus in this video because I think it probably needs its own video. But the main reason why I'm growing this flower, and this is really the real reason, is I saw it last year in my twin. I have a twin, guys, in one of her neighbor's yard. And it was stunning. It totally sold it on me because sometimes in the pictures they don't look nearly as pretty as they are in real life. And also because everybody says it's really hard to grow. And so definitely a challenge that I wanted to take on. I was just contemplating buying some plugs. Plugs are kind of the right way to go. I'm gonna do that next year, but they're expensive. You have to almost, where I wanted to buy them, you had to buy like a full tray. I had to spend like $80 to get them. I didn't need that many. So I might pick up a few more Lysianthus in the nurseries when they start to come out. But the seeds that I'm growing are a beautiful mix of apricot, some deep rose, and some pinkish white ones. So Lysianthus, the reason why I'm starting it right now is because, like everybody else says, there's so many great resources on these Lysianthus seeds, so many different videos. So check those out too, because I'm a rookie in this field. I haven't grown them yet, but I have learned so much. Most of the sources I get are from my local college, these USU extension centers that this is what they research. This is where their field is. This is what they do for a living. And so they're really credible sources, but they take about 2 to 3 months before you can even transplant them outside. But they germinate pretty quickly, around 15 days. And they like to be germinated at the temperatures of 75 degrees, 70 to 75 degrees. So I'm really excited to see if I can get these to grow. And they also come in different groups. I didn't know this, really eye-opening. They have group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. So for me in my climate, since it gets really hot, we have a lot of sunlight, I go for group 2 and group 3. So when I bought my seeds, I didn't know about these groups, and I looked at them. I was just hoping I was getting really lucky. And I happened to buy the group 2 and group 3 ones. So I'm gonna have some succession planting with my Lysianthus. I'll have ones that come out in the early summer and then ones that come out late summer to fall. Anyways, they are a florist staple, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so to plant my Lysianthus seed, they came pelleted, which I'm so grateful they do that now. They're almost so small, I would have had no idea where I was planting them. I just put it on the surface of my moistened soil. They like a lot of light to germinate, but they aren't as hard to germinate as, I think what makes them so hard is you just have to be so consistent and diligent with them, because it takes 2 to 3 months before you can even put them out into your fields, your garden boxes, whatever you're doing. So the last thing I did was just cover them with some fine vermiculite. Once they do start to come out and germinate in about 10 to 15 days, you want to decrease the temperatures to about 60 to 65 degrees and let them dry out a little bit between waterings, which I was really excited about. That just makes it a little bit easier. And one note is they're sensitive to salt. So I just wanted to add that. Make sure when you're adding some compost or anything that you're going to add to it, make sure it's not high in salinity. Anyways, that's about it for my Lysianthus. I will keep you updated on all of these flowers. So just as a recap, I've got stock, ranunculus, sweet peas, and then that Lysianthus for my January plantings. Really excited to show you all of this. Get started on those if you haven't yet. I have so much fun doing these videos. Thanks for stopping by. Definitely hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell for all of these updates. I hope to see you in my next videos, and we will talk to you later. Bye.